Welcome to the Phonic Acapela 16 tutorial video. In this video, we're going to take you through the setup and operation of the Acapela 16 digital mixer. This is going to include everything from connecting to the iPad app all the way to utilizing the onboard signal processors. For your initial setup, you'll need to connect a VGA monitor and mouse. Through the Acapela's onboard software, first enter the Network menu. Here you'll find the Wi-Fi option. Turn it on. You then want to activate the DHCP server. Below this, you'll see the Acapela's IP address. This should read 192.168.2.1. The first two sets of numbers denote a local area network, while the next two sets can essentially be anything you like. Please remember your IP address. The key field is for the Acapela's password. The default key is 87654321, but this can be set to whatever you like. Remember this key for use in the iPad. It will be needed when connecting. The password set here is Phonic. On the rear of the Acapela, you will find the VGA and USB connectors, of course, in addition to an Ethernet connection. As for the Acapela's Wi-Fi, this is built directly into the chassis. When wanting to swap between Ethernet and Wi-Fi operation, simply push the power button twice in quick succession. When connecting the iPad to the Acapela, open the Setup menu and find the Phonic Acapela 16 entry in the Wi-Fi options. When connecting, you'll be prompted for a password. Enter the key from the Acapela here. You'll want to then close the Setup menu and go over to the Acapela app. And enter the Setup menu. You'll find a little switch under Connection. Turn it on. A new menu will pop up. Here you'll see the IP address. It should be identical to the one within the Acapela, in this case 192.168.2.1. The Acapela's username is always admin with a capital A. And finally, the password from the Acapela should be entered in the password section. In this case, the password is PHONIC. So in the overview screen of the Acapela software, you'll see faders for 8 channels at a single time. These can easily be adjusted on screen. Within the Scenes menu, you can save and record settings using the Save and Load buttons. In addition to this, you can also initialize the Acapela. On the left-hand side of this menu, you can scroll through the various signal processors that are available on board. We'll start with fan and power. To begin, press the fan and power icon above any of the channels. This will jump you to the fan and power activation screen. There's a single on-off button for each of the channels. Press the back button to return to the previous screen. Next up, we have the invert phase option. This quickly and simply lets you invert the phase of any channel just by pushing the corresponding icon. Next up is panning. On this screen, you can adjust the panning for each and every channel. It allows you to easily create stereo channels or just pan incoming signals to one side to create a desired effect. Now we come to the EQ. Pushing any of the function buttons above the channels will jump you right into the EQ for that channel. You can see the EQ graph takes up most of the screen, and right below it you have activation buttons for each of the 4 bands. You can simply drag the center points for each band to the desired frequency and level. Don't forget to turn the EQ on. Here you can set a low cut filter, while on the right hand side you can activate a high cut filter. There's also a reset button to center all EQ bands. Like always, select the back button to return to the main menu. The next option along is a dynamic processor. Again, click the appropriate icon to enter the dynamics menu. In this menu, you have a gate, expander, compressor, and limiter for each channel. At the top, you're able to activate the dynamic processor. Then each individual dynamic process can be turned on and off as needed. All parameters are found at the bottom of the page and can be adjusted as necessary. Back at the main page, our next menu is the delay function. The delay is spread over 3 pages. Each channel can have its delay turned on and off and adjusted with their individual controls. There's a delay on channels 17 and 18 also. On the final page, you'll see a delay for each of the multi-outputs as well as the main. At the bottom of the screen, you can change the delay parameter adjusted between milliseconds, meters, or feet. When selecting meters or feet, the temperature option allows for more accurate delay times. Next up, we have the order menu. This screen essentially allows us to select the order of the various signal processors, so we can choose to apply the equalizer first, the dynamic processor, or the delay. Essentially, all of these processors can be placed in any order of the processing chain. Now we've come to these icons at the top. If you push these buttons, you will come across individual overview pages for each channel. Here you can see the delay, dynamics, EQ, and order. All of these can be edited in this screen. In addition to these, you also have an invert phase button and a pan control. To the bottom of the page, you have send controls for each of the auxiliary and groups. So these faders on the left are for your send levels to aux 1, 2, 3, and 4. These can be changed between post-fader and pre-fader sends. The buttons on the right are for assigning the channels to group 1, 2, 3, or 4. There's also a main assign button right below these. Each of the functions can be turned on and off directly on the screen here, and you can jump immediately to their setup pages by pushing the grids on screen. This goes for the dynamics and each of its individual functions also. Back here on the main screen, again you can see faders 1 to 8, as well as the main fader, which is available on most pages. Each of the channels can be turned on and off with ease directly on screen. In the next screen over, you can see essentially the same thing, this time for channels 9 through 16. The input from the USB interface can be found in the next screen across as channels 17 and 18. Next we have the aux mixers. Every channel is represented on this page with individual level controls for each independent mix sent to this aux mix. Each channel can also be set to pre or post fader. The currently selected mix can be seen on the right hand side, and the arrow keys can be used to jump between aux 1, aux 2, aux 3, and aux 4. Each of these aux mixers can be assigned to any one of the multi-outputs using the buttons found here. Don't forget to turn your aux mix on. In the group menu, we have individual buttons for assigning each of the input channels to the group mix. Here you can select from group 2, 3, and 4. You're also able to adjust the panning of each of your group mixes. Now we come to the effect processors. Now if you select the on-screen button, you're able to select any number of effects. Selecting reverb, for example, will bring up that effect. It will also bring up a new submenu that lets you select the type of reverb you want to use. You're able to select 2 inputs for each of these stereo effect processors. To the right of the Effect Select screen, you're able to select your output mix. At the lower part of the screen, you can see all the applicable parameters for your selected effect, all of which are user adjustable. In the effect processors, you're able to select a graphic equalizer. Hit the box at the bottom of the screen to bring up the EQ graph. You can set the GEQ as you wish right here in this menu. Effect 2 is similar to the previous page, albeit with slightly fewer effects. In the multi-screen, you're able to see an overview of your multi-output mixers. The USB audio out screen allows you to select two mixers to send to the left and right mixers of the USB audio interface. These signals are then sent to the computer for recording. You can select from any number of channels, submixers, or the main mix. Now we come to the control room screen. Here you can adjust a number of parameters to do with channel soloing. By pushing the individual assign buttons on screen, you're able to manually select your pre-fader and after-fader mixes. You can change sends to the control room from pre-fader to after-fader listens using these two buttons. By pushing the solo button, you're able to then select which mixes you want to send to the control room. Soloed mixes are indicated by a red headphone symbol. You can clear all soloed channels by pushing Solo Clear All. Finally, we have the main mix. Here's an overview screen not unlike all of the others. However, at the right, you have a graphic equalizer that you can enter and adjust. Pushing the draw button will enable you to run your finger across the GEQ bands to create an EQ curve. The reset button will center all bands. Beside the EQ is a dynamic function. Again, this is like previously mentioned overview screens. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the source select buttons. These let you quickly and easily decide which mixes are to be sent to the main mix. On the right hand side of the screen is the main fader. Those are perhaps the major functions of the Phonic Acapela 16 and should give you a good starting point on getting the unit up and running. Do not hesitate in getting in touch with us if you have any further questions.